Hello, and welcome to the Murder House Radio Show. I'm your host, X. On this show, we will be covering serial killers, mass shooters, disappearances, true crime, and the most deplorable things and people in history. All that good, dark stuff. The Murder House Radio Show will be a radio show / podcast. I'll be uploading videos every Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification and select all to get all notifications if you're viewing on YouTube. And hit follow if you're listening on a podcasting platform. So sit down, get comfortable, grab some coffee or whatever your preferred beverage is, turn off the lights, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you had a good Friday and you had a good month. Let me know how your Friday was and how your month was. My day today, as I'm recording this, is pretty good. And, yeah, my month was pretty good so far. But, yesterday I got a tattoo done, and as I'm recording it, this is April 23rd. So I got the tattoo on April 22nd. And it's all good. I got my next session on the 13th of May, so it'll be all good. But let me know how you've been doing down in the comments below and all that stuff. Also, if you wish to ask for some advice to be covered at the end of the podcast / broadcast, the podcast email will be in the description. Also in the description below is all the sources for today's video. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into today's video. So, today's video will be on Peter Britton Tobin. Peter Tobin. He was born on the 27th of August, 1946. And he is a convicted Scottish serial killer and sex offender who is currently serving a life sentence in HM Prison, Edinburgh. So he was convicted on only 3 murders. Okay, that's actually a pretty low number. But this was between 1991 and 2006. So prior to his first murder conviction, Tobin served 10 years in prison for double rape committed in 1993. Holy fuck. And then after that, which he was released in 2004. Okay. What the fuck? Should have been put down, bro. Fuck rapists and pedophiles and shit. But 3 years after his release, he was sentenced to life with the minimum of 21 years for the rape and murder of Angelica Kluke. Word. And this was in Glasgow, Scotland in 2006. And skeletal remains of 2 teenagers who went missing in 1991 were subsequently found at his former home in Margaret, Kent. And Tobin was convicted of the murder of Vicky Hamilton on the 2008 of December. Word. So, resulting in his minimum sentence being increased to 30 years, and of the murder of Dina McNichol in December 2009, resulting in a whole life order. Word. So on the first murder, he should have gotten life. That's weird. But Tobin has been labeled a psychopath by senior psychologist and a criminology professor, David Wilson, who also wrote a book on Tobin, connecting him with the Bible John murders in the late 1960s. Interesting. But yeah, that's a brief summary of this guy. I've never heard of him. So once again, we will be learning about this dude together. So yeah, let's dive deeper in to this Peter Tobin. So Peter was born in Johnston, Renfrewshire, Scotland, and he was one of 8 kids. Word. He had 4 older sisters and 3 older brothers, so he was the second youngest. 4, 5, 6, 7. Never mind, he was the youngest. Word. Had 4 older sisters and 3 brothers. Word. So Tobin was a difficult child, and in 1953, when he was 7, he was sent to basically a boarding school. It says here an approved school, whatever that is. He allegedly joined the French Foreign Legion. Yo, those guys are a bunch of tough motherfuckers. To join the French Foreign Legion, right? You can join no matter what race, heritage, language, or country you're from, and no matter what kind of criminal record you have, for the most part. You can't have killed anybody or been on the run from Interpol or whatever, but if you have a pretty petty, or I guess like mild criminal record, and you escape to France and join the French Foreign Legion, they'll be like, alright, we'll fucking take you and give you a new identity, and if you pass the training, we'll give you the new identity and a French citizenship or whatever, right? So there's that. But he deserted from the French Foreign Legion, so I'm pretty sure they take that into consideration for the French Foreign Legion, because they're accepting people from all over the world. But yeah, there's actually some pretty good documentaries on YouTube about the French Foreign Legion, so I suggest watching them. They're actually pretty interesting. But Tobin later served time in Borstal. And a Borstal was a type of youth detention center in the United Kingdom. Word. So, and in 70, he was convicted and imprisoned in England for burglary and forgery. Okay. Tobin moved to Brighton, Sussex, England, where he married his 17-year-old girlfriend, Margaret Louise Robert Mountney. Well, 17, that's pretty young, but almost an adult, but still pretty young. The question is, how old was Peter? But, anyways, a clerk and a typist. So she was a clerk and typist, word. Whatever a typist is. And then on August 1969, they divorced after a year. They separated after a year, and she divorced him in 1971. And then in 1973, Tobin married a local nurse, and this was Sylvia Jeffreys, and she was 30. That's pretty quick, my dude's a player. The couple had a son and a daughter, so he also has 2 kids, and the latter of whom died soon after birth. That's sad. This second violent marriage, oh shit, so he's an abusive cunt, lasted until 1976, when Sylvia left with their son, and Tobin then had a relationship with Kathy Wilson. The couple married in 1987, so he's married 3 times. With a son arrived later that year, so he has 3 kids in total. Well, 2, if you don't count the one that passed. And then in 1990, they moved to Bathgate, West Lothian, Scotland, and Wilson left Tobin in 1990 and moved back to Portsmouth, Hampshire, England, where she had grown up. Words were like home area. So the 3 wives later give similar accounts of falling for a charm, well-dressed psychopath who turned violent and displayed a sadistic streak during their relationship. In May 1991, Tobin moved to Margate, Kent, and in 1993 to Havant, Hampshire, to be near his younger son. So there's that. That's his early and personal life, but there's not much as to regards of his childhood so far. But his convictions and charges and all that stuff. Rape of juveniles. Oof. So on the 4th of August 1993, Peter attacked two 14-year-old girls at his flat in Lye Park. Lye Park haven't, after they went to visit a neighbor who was not home. Okay. They stopped at Tobin's flat and asked if they could wait there. Oh, that's not good. Why would you stop at a stranger's place, bro? After holding them at knife point and forcing them to drink strong cider and vodka, Peter sexually assaulted and raped them, stabbing one of them whilst the younger son was present. Oof. He then turned on the gas taps and left them for dead, but they both survived. To avoid arrest, Tobin went into hiding and joined the Jesus Fellowship, religious sect in Coverty, under a false name. He was later captured in Brickton after his blue Austin Metro car was found. Okay. And then on May 18th, 1994, at Winchester Crown Court, Tobin entered a plea of guilty and received a 14-year prison sentence. Should have been put down. In 2004, Tobin, then 58, was released from prison and returned to Paisley in Renfrewshire. So there's that. So that's his first criminal conviction as listed. Excuse me. I had a hefty steak dinner. That shit was pretty good. It was pretty good. So then here is a murder. So this looks to be his first murder. And this was of Angelica. So in September 2006, Tobin was working as a church handyman at St. Patrick's Church in Ardiston, Glasgow. He was working under the name of Pat McLaughlin to avoid detection, as he was still on the violent and sex offender registry. Yeah, so this was after he was released. Yeah. So following his 1994 conviction for the rape and assault, he's on the violent and sex offender registry. Word. An arrest warrant had been issued for Tobin in November 2005 after he had moved from Paisley without notifying the police, but he was not discovered until he became a suspect in Angelica Kluk's murder at the church. So in May 2007, he received a further 30-month sentence for breaching the terms of his probation, basically. Word. So, Kluk's was a 23-year-old student from Poland, and she was staying at the Presbytery of St. Patrick Church, where she worked as a clearer to help finance her Scandinavian study course at the University of whatever that is, GDANSK. And she was last seen alive in the company of Tobin on the 24th of September 2006. Yeah, if you're last seen with a person before they're found dead, that's not a good look at all for the person they were last seen with. So she is thought to have been attacked to the garage attached to the presbytery, and Klukt was beaten, raped, and stabbed, and her body was concealed in an underground chamber beneath the floor near the confessional in the church. Damn, that's some demonic, evil, cold-blooded shit right there. Holy. Imagine he went to confession knowing the body was under there and started confessing some shit that wasn't the murder. That'd be some cold shit. But forensic evidence suggested that she was still alive when she was placed under the floorboards. Geez, so she was buried alive too. Police found her body on the 29th of September and she was attacked on the 24th. So that's 5 days of fucking, yeah. And Tobin was arrested in London shortly after. He had been admitted to the hospital under a false name and with a fictitious complaint. Okay. So, 6 weeks later, resulting from the evidence gathered under the supervision of Detective Superintendent David Windle of Strathclyde Police, and took place at the High Court of Justiciary in Edinburgh. Yo, these fucking UK names are fucking wild. Holy shit. But this was between the 23rd of March and the 4th of May 2007. Word. The trial judge was Lord Menzies. The prosecution was led by Advocate Deputy Dorothy Bain and the defense by Donald Findlay. QC. What's QC? QC, Queen's Counsel word. In the United Kingdom and in some Commonwealth countries, Queen's Counsel during the reign of the Queen or King's Counsel during the reign of the King is a lawyer who is a senior counsel in court case. In important cases, each side is typically led by one. Interesting. I did not know that. But Tobin was found guilty of raping and murdering and was sent to life in prison to serve a minimum of 21 years. In sentencing Tobin, Judge Lord Menzies described him as an evil man. Well, I mean, he buried a body under a fucking church confessional. Like, even if you're not religious, that's just fucking bad juju, bro. Like, why under a church confessional? Like, holy shit. So there's also the murder of Vicky Hamilton. This is his second murder, I guess. In June 2007, Tobin's old house in Bathgate was searched in connection with the disappearance of a 15-year-old Vicky Hamilton, who was last seen on the 10th of February 1991 as she waited for a bus to go home to Reading near Falkirk. So Tobin is believed to have left Bathgate for Margate a few weeks after her disappearance, okay? On the 1st of July 2007, the Lothian and Borders police released a statement that they had arrested, cautioned, and charged a male in connection with the matter, and a report has been submitted to the prosecutor Fisacle. Okay. So weird names, bro, weird names. But did not immediately confirm the identity of the man arrested. Okay. So when they were investigating later, the later investigation led to a forensic search of a house in Southsea in early October 2007, where Tobin is believed to have lived shortly after leaving Bathgate. So on the 14th of November 2007, the police confirms that human remains found in the back garden of 50 Irvine Drive, a house in Margate occupied by Tobin in 1991, were those of Hamilton. Well, damn. Gotta crush up bones, bro. Gotta melt the bones off. Melt the skin and flesh off the bones and shit, all that stuff. Dispose of that somehow, somewhere, then grind the bones down into dust and go spread that shit somewhere. That's how you get rid of a body nice and good. So I've heard. That was a joke, but yeah, so I've heard. Listen to the song Dead Body Disposal by Necro. It's a good song. In November 2008, Tobin was tried at the High Court in Dundee for Hamilton's murder. He was again defended by Donald Findlay, while the prosecution was led by Solicitor General for Scotland, Frank Mulholland, QC. The prosecution case went beyond the circumstantial evidence of Tobin having lived at the two homes in Bathgate and Margaret in 1991 and consisted of eyewitness testimony of suspicious behavior by Tobin in Bathgate, evidence to destroy his alibi, and forensic evidence of DNA and fingerprints left on a dagger found in his former house, on Hamilton's purse, and on the sheet in which her body was wrapped. Well, shit. Like, one body being found on a property you lived in depends how long the people who lived there lived in that house before you and how many people lived there. So it all depends on that, because if multiple people lived there for like a few years each, that body could have popped up there anytime. But there again, I guess they could find out through all that carbon dating and DNA shit when the body was killed or whatnot, or how long it's been there. But neither here nor there. So they found some evidence, some damning evidence, I guess you could say. And after a month-long trial, Tobin was convicted of Hamilton's murder on the 2nd of December 2008. When he was being sentenced to life in prison, the judge said, "You stand convicted of the truly evil abduction and murder of a vulnerable young girl in 1991, and thereafter of attempting to defeat the ends of justice in various ways over an extended period. Yet again, you have shown yourself to be unfit to live in a decent society. It is hard for me to convey the loathing and revolution that ordinary people will feel for what you've done. I fixed the minimum period which you must spend in custody to 30 years. Had it been open to me, I would have made that period run consecutive to the 21-year custodial period that you are already serving. It should have been run consecutive. That's like one after the other. And then concurrent is like, say you're sentenced to 20 years and then 10 years. You serve that 10 years and then you just have to serve the rest of your 20 years. So you'll have to serve another 10 years after your 10 years is up, if that makes sense. So basically 30 minus basically 20 minus 10 basically is what that is. But yeah, there is that. Formal notice intended, blah 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 blah. So he tried to appeal it, but the appeal did not work. It was dropped in March 2009. And then there's another body, another murder. This is the third murder, and this is of Dina Nicole. And this is an 18-year-old sixth former from Tillingham, Essex. ESSEX. This was she was last seen alive on the 5th of August 1991, hitchhiking home with a male friend from a music festival in Liphook, Hampshire. So while they were hitchhiking, they accepted a ride from a male subject. Her friend was dropped off at Junction 8 of the M25 near Reigate, while the victim stayed in the car with the driver. She was never seen again. After she disappeared, regular withdrawals were made from her building society account at cash machines in Hampshire and Sussex, out of character for the victim. So the withdrawals were out of character for her or whatnot. So who had told friends and family that she intended to use the money in the account to travel or further her education. I see. So even if it wasn't her, even if it was her, this would be like a spur of the moment thing, and everybody she knew would have been like, Wait a minute, what the fuck's wrong with her out here spending all this shit right out the bat without telling anybody, first of all? But yeah, anyways, in late 2007, Essex police the reopened the investigation into the victim's disappearance following new leads. Interesting. On the 16th of November 2007, a second body was found at 50 Irwin Drive in Margaret, later confirmed by police to be the victim, Nicole. Nicole, yes. On the 1st of September 2008, the Crown Prosecutor Service served a summons on Tobin's solicitors, formally accusing him of her murder. So I'm guessing the body was found on his property. Yes, because I'm pretty sure I said earlier that the bodies were found on his property. But this trial began on June 2009 but was postponed and the jury discharged in the following month after the judge ruled that Tobin was not fit to stand trial pending surgery. So the trial was postponed because he had surgery for whatever reason. I see. So the case continued on the 14th of December 2009 at the Chelmsford Crown Court. And on the 16th of December, after the defense had offered no evidence, a jury found Tobin guilty of the Nichols murder after deliberating for less than 15 minutes. Well, damn. And Tobin subsequently received his third life sentence. That same day, police reopened Operation Anagram to trace Tobin's past movements and his possible involvement in a further 13 unsolved murders, including 3 victims of the unidentified killer, Bible John. Tobin is reported to have claimed 48 victims in boasts made in prison. Holy fuck. I wonder why he was driven to kill or whatever. Curious, because it doesn't say like much of anything of abuse during childhood or anything like that, but I'll look into that further. But like, what the fuck, bro? But I think he killed way more than 3 fucking people, for sure. For sure. If there's already 3 and he's buried 2 in his backyard, like, bro, you just don't kill fucking 3 people, let alone you don't really just kill anybody for the most part. Even if you did, if it was an accident, like, fuck, you go to the police or whatever, but, like, usually, if you're out here killing somebody, it's usually one person, and it's usually a fucking clusterfuck of shit going on, and you're scared to go to the police for the most part, and it's only one person. But if you're hiding 3 fucking bodies and they're all linked to you, there's probably more. Let's just be real about that. Alright, so what are the Bible John murders? So, Tobin's murder convictions or whatnot led to the theories that he is Bible John, a serial killer who murdered 3 young women in Glasgow in the 1960s. Well, he was born in the 1940s, so it's possible-ish. Maybe, yeah. There are similarities between photographs of Tobin from the era and the photo fit artist's impression of Bible John, and Tobin had moved from Glasgow in 1969, the same year as the killings officially ended. Well, this is some Jack the Ripper shit, so like the Bible killer is an unknown killer, so we could do a podcast on that dude, maybe. Maybe, for sure, maybe one day. It's just an unknown killer word. So another similarity is that eyewitnesses told police that the suspect had one tooth missing in his upper right area of the mouth. Dental records proved that Tobin had a tooth removed around the late 1960s. And also, it had been alleged that Tobin reacted violently to his victims' menstrual cycle. Ooh. Something which was long been suspected as the motive behind the Bible John murders. Okay. Police have not commented upon any similarities, but said that any surviving forensic evidence will be rechecked. Although DNA had been used to rule out previous suspects, detectives believe a DNA link to Tobin is unlikely due to the deterioration of the samples through the poor storage. Interesting. We will look into the Bible John killer or whatnot. But his health. So on August the 9th, 2012, Tobin was taken to the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary after suffering chest pains and a suspected heart attack at the city's HM prison, Edinburgh. In February 2016, he was hospitalized again following a suspected stroke. So, old Tobin don't got too much left in the tank, it sounds like. But, Operation Anagram. What the fuck's this? Operation Anagram is a nationwide police investigation into Tobin's life and movements. Also, they're just investigating him to make sure, there wasn't more murders to the man behind all the other murders. Word. So this began in 2006 after his first murder conviction. Word. So, the police increased the intensity in 2009 after Tobin's third conviction. Okay. And through the Holmes 2 database, Holmes 2 is an information technology system that is predominantly used by UK police forces for the investigation of major incidents such as serial murders and high-valued frauds. Okay. So police across the United Kingdom are involved in the operation, investigating the possibility of Tobin's connection to dozens of murders and disappearances of teenage girls and young women. Interesting. So, some dude speaking after Tobin's 2006 conviction for the murder of Cluck said that Tobin's age and the method of the murder sparked a speculation that he may be a serial killer. How did he kill them? That's what I want to know. Was it strangulation? Because one of them were stabbed or whatnot. A couple of them were stabbed, I think, but I don't know. One of them was for sure. Go back and see what I said, because I mentioned it. But, as did interviewers. So, they did interviews with Tobin. Okay. An anagram led to the discovery of the bodies of Hamilton and McNichol. Okay, so the last two victims were results of this Operation Anagram. Word. It is believed that of December 2009, detectives across the United Kingdom were following up on up to 1,400 lines of inquiries. Jesus. As part of their renewed inquiries, police were especially interested in tracking and tracing the owners of jewelry items found at his residence. Okay. And then on July 2010, it was reported that officers working the operation had narrowed their view down to 9 unsolved murders. So there's a further 9 that could possibly be the work of Peter Tobin. Word. So 9 unsolved murders and disappearances. Interesting. The operation was wound down in June 2011, having failed to identify any more victims, but its email address remains active and working. Interesting. This was an interesting read. Definitely an interesting read. What do you guys know about him? Leave it down in the comments below. I may have left some stuff out. But, yeah, so that is that. But yeah, there wasn't much about, his early life, so sorry about that. And then, For the most part, his life pretty mysterious, but he was a nomad, I guess you could say, just traveling around the UK a lot. But yeah, no emails for advice or anything like that as of when I'm recording this. So that's that. So that is Peter Tobin. Thank you for listening to this episode on the Murder House Radio Show. I hope you have a good rest of your Friday or whenever you are listening to this. Check out the social medias and the sources in the description below. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification and select all to get all notifications if you are listening on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcasting platform, hit follow. Leave your suggestions for future episodes in the comments. See you next episode. This is your host X, signing off.